Hi, so on today's video we're going to be covering off and unboxing the Anker Prime 250 watt charger. Now I did purchase this myself, so it's not a sponsored video at all whatsoever. I just have always wanted one of these devices to be able to take on the go with me to kind of help support. So let's get cracking. So to say I'm no stranger to battery packs would be an understatement. Currently today we've got several bulking options here, which pretty much all of these ones are, and some really dodgy Chinese one I got many years ago, as you can probably tell, is not really fit for purpose. But either way, useful devices in their time. That being said, I wanted to kind of go where I originally started on YouTube, and that was with a review of an Anker product. Now this is the Anker battery pack to pretty much replace all battery packs. Now it's the Anker Prime #1 charging, multi-fast charging, 250 watt output. It has a 27,650 mAh battery, and believe it or not, it actually features Bluetooth. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. The compatibility you will see listed as the following. The main reason I wanted this was for the Legion Go, and a little bit more about the kind of capacity there, the inputs and outputs, what options it has, and the total watt output power is obviously 250 watts. Now one thing to note, that will be divided between the amount of devices you connect, so it's always something to bear in mind. Now opening these is usually fairly simple. They have some nice little pull tabs, which we'll just remove. And then we'll pop open the box. Now I did look at the 737 version, but to be honest, this was the next natural step up, and it made a lot more sense for me. So inside the box, we'll just remove the device, and as always, I will start with whatever accessories we can find in here. The accessories will be quite straightforward, I imagine. There's a USB-C to USB-C cable. Now you can get a charging dock with this device, so I might look at picking one of those up. And the only other thing that you get is this nice little carry bag with Anker on it. And any other kind of information is pretty much to do with the warranty, quick start guide, all those kind of things, etc. So that all kind of sits in there and tells you a little bit about the battery pack itself, which is absolutely fine. Now the battery pack weighs quite a bit. I will bring my scales in a moment and we'll kind of find out exactly how much it weighs. It does come in this nice bag. Let's just get it out of that. It does seem a bit plasticky. Now as you see at the bottom, that is the section for its charging base. So the charging base is listed in the description if you want to pick one of those up. Similar with this device, obviously they will be affiliate links, so just be aware it does help support this channel. Now at the very top you have a standard USB-A, which you'll notice has the IQ certification, and then you'll have a in and out and an in and out USB-C. And believe it or not, that's pretty much all there is to the device. On the side, you've got a button, which is obviously for the power. And let's just bring in the scales. Well, that's not in grams, let's just move it to grams. We're currently at 665 grams for that device. So, fairly heavy device, to be honest. Now, if you compare that with some of the older ones I've got, let's just take the heavier Belkin one that I currently have. That one sits in at around 400, so there's at least a 200 gram uplift on that. But let's be honest, the amount of charges you're going to get off this one is significantly going to outweigh that one. So let's see what happens when we turn this on. So you'll notice we've got this nice little display there. The only thing I do find a little bit annoying is this front is a lot of a fingerprint magnet. As you can see, I've just handled this a little bit and already I've got my fingerprints all over it. Now the one good thing with this that separates this from some of the others is it does support Bluetooth. Now, what do we mean by supporting Bluetooth on this? Now, what this device has is the ability to connect into your phone using a particular app. So once you have downloaded the Anker app, it will ask you if you'd like to use Bluetooth. We'll certainly set that up. And would I like it to send me notifications? Now, do I currently have an account with this? I can't remember, but I can use Apple to sign up. So once in here, we basically get the option to add a device. So what I'm going to do is add a device, click agree and continue, and it's going to search for nearby devices. Now, this may have turned off, or maybe not. Now, there we go. So it needs to flash. So basically, you have to get to that page and then get it to flash. It's a little bit cumbersome, a little bit tricky, so you need to persevere a little bit with it. And this time it's worked. So just something to be aware of. Now I'm going to call this Express IT Power Bank. And you can get some really useful stats about the power bank. So you can see what it's currently running at, the remaining time. Actual graphics looks quite available, the amount of charges available. So when you connect a device, if I added a device and selected something, let's see if they have particular devices. You can obviously add the battery capacity, battery health, etc. That would give you a little bit of an overview. So shall we use the Legion Go, for example? So if we go device type other, and we'll call this Legion Go. The battery capacity of a Legion Go, so we're looking for 13420, and we'll say the battery health is currently 99. Now what that will do is tell me exactly how many charges are available if I then go in there. So that's telling me at the moment it would only charge it 0.3 of a time, just basically because I've only got 23% on that. So if we go and look at the application itself, and apologies for the very slow motion stuff on the right, but just trying to keep you interested. Now what happens is with the app, you can see you've got this really nice graphic on screen, which on the left hand side shows you the wattage going out of the C1, C2s. And you can also go in and out of menus, which basically shows you. Now the settings itself, there are two different themes. I personally preferred theme 2 because it gives you a little bit more information about the particular voltage and amp draw out of the machines. So anything that's pulling out of there is really useful. Number of charges, I kind of showed you that earlier. Apologies around the iPhone, I basically set that up wrong. You can optimize charging and discharging, as well as turn on auto broadcast for Bluetooth, which is definitely required for Find My Power Bank. Now, obviously, you're going to have to be in range of Bluetooth for that to currently work. So the Find device will stipulate there that the Bluetooth auto broadcast needs to be on. Also, one of the things you'll need to be aware of is this will potentially reduce the capacity of the battery somewhat. There's a little bit more information on there around the various other bits, and also a firmware upgrade if you want to carry it out. But fundamentally, everything can be found within this page. So when it comes to ports and the availability of ports, we currently have 3. So we've got C1, C2, and what we will call A. Now they all support the PD 3.1 spec, so that sort of fast delivery and fast charging. Now when it comes to actually particular outputs, how it works is that if you are using either of the C's, so just these two here, you can output a maximum of 140 watts. Now that's if just one of those is in use. If you decide to use both of those, that differs then somewhat. So basically C1 would offer the 140 and C2 would offer a maximum of 100 watts. So the idea is it will never exceed this 250 watt that's available. If you happen to utilize, say, one of the C ports and the A port, what you will get is 140 watts from either of these, and then 65 from the A port. And then finally, if you actually use all three, what you will see is C1 will deliver 140, C2 drops to 92 watts, and that enables port A to deliver 18 watts in total. Now the measurements of this device are slightly bigger than the previous incarnation, which was the 737. These currently run at 16.2 centimeters by 5.7 centimeters by a 5 centimeters. Now it does have the 27,650 mAh battery, and you're probably wondering, why is it that amount? Now fundamentally the reason for that is to get it under the 100 watt hour that's applicable in most air travel. Now that will depend upon the particular airline you're flying with, but the majority stick to this 100 watt hour to be totally acceptable for air travel, and this one will clock in at 99.54 watt hours, meaning that it's completely capable of getting onto the majority of airlines. It is obviously slightly heavier, running at around 630 grams, so it's quite or 636 grams, which is quite a weighty beast. But nevertheless, compared to older chargers, which you can get, obviously you can tell the potential size difference. And even if I got one of the bigger, larger ones, you can kind of see the difference between them still. So obviously if you look at that from a length perspective, it's probably not much difference, but when you certainly look at it from a thickness point of view, you can significantly see the difference between that and probably what you're used to as a standard charger. So just looking back at this Anker device now, one of the things I mentioned is this wonderful glossy screen is unfortunately a massive fingerprint magnet. As you can see, I've only had it for a short while and already it's pretty much picked up every single fingerprint known to man. Now to navigate around the menu on this, it's just a single press on the side button. Again, you're then to set up, need to press it again and double tick to turn on Bluetooth, so that's going for that setup earlier. Going through, you then got the configuration, so it says about doing the configuration on the actual iPhone or phone that you've got, and then finally you can go into these settings. Now to change any of these, it says to double tap. I don't really want it to time out any longer than 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes is perfectly fine. And then I move on to the other screen. I've set my screen brightness to high, and hopefully you can see that. There's not a massive load of difference between the two, but it's certainly helpful in sort of fairly. So what you'll be able to see here is I've plugged two devices in just to give you a bit of an indication of how the dual charging works. So currently what I've got in here is my Legion Go, which is currently taking somewhere around the 36 watt mark. It has kind of peaked at around 50. The reason for that is it is at the high end of the battery at the moment. It is around the 90%, so obviously that's going to start to trickle charge somewhat. The A port is currently delivering 4 watts to my Kindle Scribe, so they're currently just chugging away. What you will be able to see is obviously the remaining time now on the battery is saying if it carries on at this rate, you've got 2 hours and 25 minutes left of charge. So you can tell this does particularly suck quite a lot of power out of it. Now obviously if I did remove the Legion Go, I would expect this to significantly improve, and you will see real-time adjustments. So now we're talking around 23 hours, so nearly a full day worth of charging into the Kindle Scribe. So depending upon what device you're obviously charging, it's just something to bear in mind. If I obviously just pop this in, it's going to adjust that quite seamlessly in the background and then readjust the calculation. So again, it will just depend on what it needs to deliver. So you can see it's probably fluctuating quite a bit at the moment because the Legion Go's requirements will be changing constantly. So in summary, when it comes to the Anker Prime 250 watt charger, you're obviously paying for a very premium product. Now, the downsides of this primarily are just the glossy screen and the fact that it is a complete fingerprint magnet. Exception to that is obviously the 250 watt supply is obviously broken down into different ports, so that's just something to be aware. You're not going to get 250 watts maximum output from this on one single device. How it generally works is it splits across the three, as I mentioned earlier in the video. That being said, the fact this has Bluetooth functionality and gives you some real-time metrics of how the device is performing, how it's discharging, how it's even charging is really, really useful. Now, one of the particular use cases I had is I bought earlier last year a device from Amazon which claimed to be a 65 watt charger. Now, when I found it was only charging this at 55, it kind of shows you that quality obviously comes at a price, so just something to bear in mind. So it is quite useful for that. Obviously it comes in a really nice presented box. It is a lot heavier than the 737, or a fair bit heavier than the 737, and when you compare it to other USB power banks, this is certainly going to weigh a lot more. However, I would say it's probably the equivalent to, you know, almost half a bag of sugar. So if you kind of take that view, it does sit around the 600 gram mark. It's just something to bear in mind. Now, will I be buying one of the power stations? Probably. I'll be honest though, they are around £60 themselves, and at the moment they don't seem to have any current stock at Anker that I can actually get hold of, so I haven't been able to do a review of that. But I imagine from the 3-prong or the 5-prong point at the bottom there, it'd be quite useful just to drop onto a desktop. However, charging this with even a 65 watt charger was quite ridiculous to watch, to see it actually charge up. It did go from about 26% to fully charged in just over an hour, to be honest. So I think with a 100 watt charger, it's probably safe to say you could go from 0 on this to full within an hour, which is quite phenomenal. Now, depending upon the load, you're going to get different responses and different kind of outputs, but I would say that most devices, this is obviously designed to be able to power a laptop, so you should be able to take your laptop from a very low charge to something usable if you're out and about. Obviously, if you've had it plugged in as well, it will be able to trickle charge as well, so you've got that option to be able to kind of restore your battery health to something that's quite usable throughout the day. But yeah, to summarise, this is a really, really nice device. It's something that I've been looking forward to actually purchasing. I was previously looking at the 737. To be honest, the price point jump on this just made sense, and it's perfectly legal to take on an aeroplane as well. So from that point, everything adds up, and everything's kind of designed for me to just crack on, buy this device and get moving. If you have liked what you've seen today, please hit the like and subscribe, and it will just go towards helping support this channel, and I will see you next time.